Hey guys, I'm Boot. We're in New Jersey, and today we are going to dive deeper into the 600-pound lies that we've been fed all over television, as you've seen. And again, today I have Kyle from On the Brain Entertainment. Kyle, let everybody know where they can find you at.
You can find me everywhere you get your podcast fix. On the Brain Entertainment is everywhere thanks to Anchor.fm. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts and everywhere else. I'm also a advocate for mental health, and we talk about that on A for Abled, my second podcast, which you can also find everywhere you get your podcast fix. I'm also a contributor of the Who They Want podcast, headed by DJ Steady. Are you ready? Check that out everywhere you get your podcast fix, as well as live on all socials.
All right. As well, we have Allie, my wife, as well as Gina's sister, and she is going to tell us where we can find her.
Hi everyone, you can find me on Allie S on YouTube and at TikTok, Allie_Sams. And I just wanted to say really quickly that we understand that once this is on the internet, we cannot control what happens once we put this up. That is not what we're trying to do here. We are just trying to tell Gina's truth and our truth, and we feel it deserves to be out there on the internet in front of all the people that harassed and bullied us as well as Gina. We're not expecting anything other than just her truth to be out there.
Well said. I'm also going to go ahead and put forward here that in one of our previous episodes, we talked a little bit about Gina and Beth's relationship. I want everybody to know we're not just dumping on Beth. We are going to have her on to talk about some of her experience with the show and some of the lies that have been come across regarding her.
You know what? Every time you say something about comments or something that people left, I want to get like screenshots of that like all over the place.
Oh yeah, that's what I plan to do.
Get the screenshots of the comments. Get the screenshots of those comments on her obituary.
Not on the one.
No,
it's not on her. It's on the third-party obituary site.
Yeah.
And I think one of those third-party sites shut them down. Comment.
Oh.
Yep.
But
because they reached out to our funeral director at the time. Mm-hmm. And she reached out to them to have them take it down, which she's not even in control of that.
Oh, well, as far as their prayers, like thoughts and prayers tweet.
Yeah. No, it's like, why bother?
One producer, texted me and offered condolences. One.
And that person wasn't even with the company anymore. That's the worst part.
You know what? Big ups to them.
Yep.
One. And she knows who she is.
Yep.
And I really appreciated it. It really, it meant a lot. So, all right, let's continue.
Notice I'm not in the chair.
Yeah, when did you move?
I didn't.
He didn't!
This is a completely different conversation.
It's a different conversation. We were talking about their fights. And things,
right.
Not about food.
Not about, oh, Beth's so terrible for not getting us all food. And in the first place, we all didn't want to eat out. They made us all eat out. And the worst part was, we waited till Beth got home from work. They had her standing outside for 3 hours. They had me standing out there for like a half an hour. Beth was standing out there with the food for 3 hours. By the time we got our food, it was so soggy. I was like, I'm not even going to eat this.
Yeah, spoiler alert, the food was ice cold.
Yep.
And also, this whole part right here, we recorded and we filmed an hour talking about Gina was opening up about her marriage with Beth. And that's what my mom was reacting to, not the friggin' food. If you also notice, Beth never got a confirmation of what we all wanted from the diner. But magically, she comes in the house with food for everybody.
Oh, wait, and the blanket is right there. Was the blanket there before?
I don't know.
Don't know, because
let's take a look.
The angles weren't really focused on the... Wait, let's go back to
the phone call.
Yeah, it was. It was there.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was there. But it was like further over.
That was like, and honestly, this is a big thing that I even.
And I'm in the kitchen now with Beth.
You're
Oh
in the
no, this
kitchen.
must have been after Beth came and brought the food.
that's after.
Which is funny because
That's
this big conversation we had, right, or they had, about Gina yelling at Beth, you need to get us food. You need to get us food. Well, what kind of food? How did she know what we all wanted? Because they set up the order. Ugh.
Yeah, they wanted this to look this way the whole time.
Yep.
And it's just very cringy because I've said this to Beth. Like, I'm going to get a shirt and be like, Beth needs to get me food. Like, are you kidding?
Man.
I'm a friggin' adult. Like, Beth was not my friggin', like, food getter. Like, hello?
Food
Like,
getter,
what the
caretaker,
hell?
none of that.
I can't. Like, I can't even.
She
Like,
was
Beth
our
won't be able to
sister-in-law, and like, you know what I mean, like, and like our friend and our sister-in-law,
This
and
is
like not our caretaker, not our food getter, not our
Honestly,
bitch, nothing like that.
exactly.
You know what I
She
mean?
wasn't the maid. We didn't work her like a friggin' like
Like a
I
slave.
don't even know, like a slave. Yes,
Yeah,
that's how they portrayed her.
she was our
portrayed
slave
her-
of the house.
They portrayed her as she was the hero. She did everything, and also everybody, like I said, all praised her, told her to run away,
Yeah,
and she didn't get hate from people.
no,
I'm not saying I want people to go hate on her.
Of
no.
course not.
Obviously, but it's not real. That's
Nope.
not the truth. She looked at me and then
Oh
she
yeah, I
started
saw it.
laughing.
I saw it. Yeah, yeah. You got the food. Like drugs, like the drug dealer walking in. You got the drugs.
Yeah, I just want to know one thing. How many times did they have y'all do takes of this?
A lot.
Too many.
Like I said, the food was ice cold.
Yeah.
It was like 10 o'clock at night at this point.
Oh my god.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you did say they had you standing outside
Outside for like 3 hours, Beth was with the food. So look at her laugh.
she did. Yeah. Oh my god. So stamped a giant BS on that scene right there.
Right, exactly.
Who the hell says that? Thank God I'm starving.
Thank God I'm
You got the
starving.
food. Thank
You got the
God I'm
food.
starving.
You got the stuff?
I'm wasting away to practically nothing.
Like, I can't. Like, Gina was so not that. It's so. This is why she's laughing. This is why it looks so fake to us, because that was not my sister. That would not
No.
be her reaction.
No, not at all.
God.
So the thing that she said was so many sentences cut together that it almost didn't make sense. There was no cadence to it, you know? And that's
Because that was stuff that was put together. Because they said about, they had mentioned if Gina would make it to my wedding. And at the time, I didn't think Gina was going to go, not because of her weight, because of her severe anxiety and agoraphobia.
right.
And I broke down crying because they hit a nerve, obviously, that I was so upset.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like they encouraged us to say, like, she's killing herself. Well, guess what? She became anorexic and she's dead at 30. So do you want an award?
It's
Like,
very,
I
it's very, to hear her say, like, if I don't do something, I'm going to die.
Then she does something because...
Then she does something and then she dies.
And she dies.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It's just like, where's the justice in that?
There isn't.
There-
And it's
there
really
is none.
heartbreaking.
Excuse me.
You good, bro?
Yeah, I'm good. Everybody all right?
I'm sorry, guys.
It's all right, man. It's,
Yo, they did her so dirty.
yeah.
And no, while watching this, I screamed at my freaking ceiling because I couldn't get through the first. I know y'all went through this, but just like y'all, I hadn't watched this since the first time.
Yeah.
Right. So going back and watching it for this, and knowing what I know now, it just made it so hard.
Yeah.
Is this what you wanted? Is this what you all want? Is this why you all commented nasty stuff when she died? To just say what told you so? We're real friggin' people that lost a real person. How would you feel if somebody came onto your family member's page that died and leave nasty comments about things that they know nothing about? Would you like that? No. Like, my heart is broken. My sister tried so hard to make it through after this shit aired. After thousands and thousands and thousands, probably millions of people shitted on her.
And these guys didn't even care.
They don't give a crap.
They're making their money. That's why.
You don't get to say you have sympathy for us. You don't get to say that.
No. You would know what sympathy was if it bit you on the fucking ass.
You don't.
No.
Because if you gave any care about my sister and her well-being, maybe you would change shit in the way you run things.
Maybe you wouldn't try to shove food down her throat just for the cameras.
Yeah.
Maybe
Or at
you
the very
wouldn't-
least, get a better angle. My God.
Now, yeah, really. They made it a point to say that it was food that was killing her. It wasn't food. That was the problem at first. It became this way, more prevalent because of the show. But it was the non-movement. It was her anxiety. It was her agoraphobia.
It was
It was
her
all
eating
those
disorder.
It was all of those things.
It
It
was
wasn't just her eating disorder. It was everything.
Yeah, but it was her seeing people say things like you should go kill yourself.
Right. Of course.
Or you should not eat. How about not eat?
Have they?
And
That's what
she
she
did. She
Yeah.
didn't eat. And now at 30 years old, she's dead.
They didn't even mention her. They mentioned that Allie had agoraphobia, got the dates wrong, but they mentioned Allie's diagnosis. I don't think they mentioned Gina's mental diagnosis at all.
Not at all. It was just they just played it up that she was big, and that was it. And that her mental disorder was what made her fat.
I don't know if you heard it, but my mom said that they told her that they were going to help her focus on her mental health, and they didn't.
No.
I didn't see them focus on that at all. And
No, because the clip that'll come up later with the therapist focused mostly on Beth getting away from Gina and having Beth time.
Which, let me tell you something. I'm all for that. Don't get it wrong.
right.
Beth did a lot for Gina, and she did deserve a little bit of alone time for herself.
Of course. Nobody's
what I mean?
doubting that or taking that away.
But the fact that they took it away from Gina and they made it seem like Beth was her, was a caretaker to everybody, no wonder people were telling Beth to get the hell out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No wonder. But at the same time, again, like you said, this is a television show. It's a reality as much as you could say reality television.
This ain't even
show.
pseudo, quasi reality.
Like, oh, they used real people. That's about it. The story was so wrong. It was such a lie in the way it was put together. They didn't show all the triumphs that Gina made during this show, all the things she faced and pushed through while she was doing this show. They didn't show any of that.
No.
The 5 days that they made us spend on the road just to drive to Texas because they wanted to get enough shoots done. They wanted to get enough video. They had more than enough video to make 3 shows.
Yeah, well, we're not even at that point yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
There's a lot to go. There's a lot
to go through. This is gonna be multiple parts.
Yeah.
And you know what? The truth needs to be out.
Oh, yes. So this version of the episode is without commercials. So if our timestamps don't match up with yours, don't be too concerned. I'm sure you'll be able to figure out the parts we're talking about.
Yeah. I just need to say that did not take them 11 days round trip.
No.
And it took us 5 days to get to Houston, Texas with the production crew when we were taking Gina and Beth and Bubba to move into their new apartment.
Yeah.
However, when we went to surprise her to bring her back to New Jersey, it took us 2 days.
That's right.
She came home in 2 days. No, I'm just saying it didn't take 11 days round trip.
No. When we went with them to go to Texas, it took us 5 days because of shooting.
Mm-hmm.
When we went on our own, it took 2 days. And I think between Beth and Gina, when they went, it took them 4 days because it was 2 days to get down there, 2 days to get back. But they also made them stop. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1748. That is a bullshit statement. Because the plan was never for her mom to go with, her and Beth. It was for just them two to go. And that was...
Why did they make her say it?
They made her say it because it's part of the narrative.
The thing...
They wanted to cause drama. They wanted to show drama. So now she's mad at her mom because her mom didn't go with her.
But my mom literally just said, but you can't hear her. She literally just said they never even asked it for my mom to go with Gina. If they would have asked my mom to ride with Gina and Beth to go meet the first time, she would have went with her. But that was never even done. So
that was never... I'm sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead, Kyle. What were you saying?
That was never... So that was never talked about at all about her possibly going with them to Texas.
No, that was never even a thought.
And this happened at the end of October.
Right.
That I know.
Yeah.
That I know because at this point I knew a little bit about what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because Gina and I were talking about it. She told me about how overwhelmed she was at certain areas of the production, but I didn't know about this. If you want to cause drama, hire actors.
Right.
Yeah.
Hire actors, but I guess they couldn't call it reality TV if you're right, I put quotation marks around it. Reality TV.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and Keith and I couldn't take off work. Yes, people, we had jobs.
Yep.
So we couldn't take off work to go because we did have plans to go with her to help them move because they didn't have the finances and the help to move into a new apartment because they weren't being offered that help by the show.
Right.
So they needed extra hands. So we couldn't take off of work twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, our wedding was in 3 weeks from this point, and we had, we couldn't take off all this
balls
time
to the wall wedding planning mode.
Right, we couldn't take off from our jobs that we had because we support ourselves, not bad. But let's continue.
Gina was not this bad. She had stints where she would be jealous of y'all and all that stuff, but jeez.
Yeah, trust me, I was screaming at the TV when we first watched it.
This is a little bit crazy what they're saying, what they're making her say here. Because they're making it a matter of life and death of her being in a vehicle. They're not talking about the anxiety and fear yet.
Or the PTSD, agoraphobia that she was diagnosed with that I'm 99% sure isn't mentioned at all in this entire...
No, they mentioned you had
They mentioned
agoraphobia.
I was diagnosed with agoraphobia, but not ever Gina. Not once, I don't think, and maybe we can see once we get further along, but I'm pretty sure this entire thing, they did not mention her mental health issues at all by name.
Right.
That she had agoraphobia, that she had PTSD, that she had a severe anxiety disorder. That was our concern for the wedding, is her anxiety. and not liking to leave the house because of her anxiety, not because of her weight.
Yeah.
But they again have to fit the narrative of she couldn't get out of the house or ride in a vehicle due to her size because she's so big.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't like that at all. It was, she had been, at that point, she had gone out of the house at least once.
She has crippling anxiety.
Right. But she did on YouTube, remember? Right before that. She left the house.
The steps outside because
Yeah.
you have to understand that she was somebody that had a lot of anxiety and fear. She was afraid of my father. She was afraid of anybody that was male that raises their voice.
Yeah.
She was terrified to leave the house because the house was her safe haven. We were her safe people. And, going to...
Well, speak for yourself.
After
I yelled at her, she wasn't very happy about that.
Yeah, but the thing of it is that what I'm saying is, why isn't it like if somebody else showed that they had anxiety, leaving a house and going to on a long road trip for the first time in a really long time, and was not as big as my sister, not one person would turn their head and be like, oh my God, like that's so terrible. Look, her weight is crazy. No, they would be like, oh my gosh. I'm so proud of you. Like, you're showing good strength and good progress. Like, keep going. Like, you're doing great. People would be encouraging
right.
if she wasn't her size.
Yep.
And that's an issue that we don't have time to talk about right now because that goes beyond my sister. But it's heartbreaking to hear that this is the title they given Gina. They gave Gina the title of everything with her weight. She could not do anything. And I guess like I should have realized this in my head that this is how that was going to go down and be, because it is a weight loss reality TV show or a weight TV show, whatever. But I just thought that, her being, first of all, she's never been in front of cameras before. None of us have. And the next part we're going to see, well, I'll talk about it then, but it's just none of us understood.
Aside from your phone cameras and whatever you use on your laptop, none of us have been on a national stage before.
Right.
Of course. And, like, that's just something that, like, you aren't prepared for, and they don't prepare you.
Right.
They don't. They just try to say to act natural, but there are producers screaming and yelling from other parts of the room on how to be.
Right.
So they're guiding you, but they're not giving you the support you need. And, I was asked by my therapist, was mental health provided for all the people involved in the show? And I said, absolutely not.
No, they had a counselor or something.
Gina was
came in for like 5 minutes.
In a situation with Beth with a counselor, but we're not at that point.
No.
But even that, I feel like was staged. Like, I don't even know if that person even really is a therapist or a counselor or anything, because none of anything that had any substance came to light in the episode, except for that person telling Beth to take her own time, to take me time for Beth.
Right.
So
you should have looked that person up.
Why? I don't
see what their credentials are.
No, I don't even care, because the thing of it is that what people don't understand is that these providers that you see on your TV screen aren't always. My sister was never considered a patient under the doctor, and I'm not going to say the name because you all know the name. I don't need to say it.
They didn't even get 60 miles on the parkway, which is less than an hour's drive, before they made her stop to get food. So they probably, like, that day she was probably hungry because they probably hadn't eaten at all. And then we're like, oh, you know, can we get something to eat? And they were like, oh, let's wait until we get here, or let's get food, or, you know, whatever it was. I'm sure it was staged, you know, just because they wanted to film her eat. That's the other thing. She couldn't eat unless it was on camera.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing. But she didn't like fast food as a crutch. Like, that was not her at all.
You know, it's really funny how, you know, they have Beth order this crazy, you know, a #1 in chicken nuggets. Yet all they show is Gina eating
a burger.
couple bites of a burger.
Yeah.
Because Gina didn't drink soda. She rarely ate the fries that came with the fast food place, if she did have fast food. Where did the chicken nuggets and chicken fries go, people? The thing of it is that, you know, they just people
Right,
are
exactly. Beth had to get something to eat too.
Beth had to eat too.
Yeah.
And this is something that Keith and I said we were going to talk about because we didn't note this down, is that this particular trip to Texas, Gina and Beth would call us and say, we have no money. They're telling us we can only eat if it's filmed. We don't want fast food. We don't want to eat on camera. Like, and Gina would be so upset, crying. And a lot of those times, they weren't even able to eat anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was
Or they would have to wait all day just to film them eating at some point, and it would be like so much food, but it would be between Gina and Beth, and then she wouldn't even eat half of it.
And I remember one particular phone call that Beth was talking to one of the producers that was with them and was like, can you please just get us like a pizza or something, because we don't want to eat on camera, but it's like midnight and we haven't eaten all day and we're starving.
Right.
I mean, they tried to bring as much stuff with them because like snacks and drinks as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of times during that trip that they did not even eat meals. Because the rule was you can only eat, they will provide the food if you're filmed on camera.
And again, to fit the narrative, they had her say, oh, I don't know how I'm going to make it without this food, or without fast food, or without... And it's like, that is not who she was at all.
No, because
that is definitely part of the narrative.
And that's the thing I wanted to say too, is they're constantly making her coping mechanism in relation to food.
Right.
For an example, when she got into the van and her face was red, and she was saying, Beth, it's hot. If you've never had a panic attack or an anxiety attack, you feel like you're going to pass out.
It's very hot, you sweat.
Like, it wasn't because she walked to the van that she was out of breath and hot.
No.
She was having a panic attack. That was the first time she was leaving me and my mom ever in her life to go to another state. And, you know, in regards of going to Pennsylvania to see Beth's family, but she was going to Texas.
That was just a visit.
Right.
That was just a visit. Here, she was going to basically uproot her life until the procedure was done.
But she was going to Texas to be on a TV show.
Yeah.
Right? So that's going to give somebody with such high anxiety panic attacks and anxiety attacks. But the narrative was, because she's over 600 pounds, she needs to eat fast food because that's how she copes with mental health. They didn't take her mental health seriously.
When she was on YouTube, her first channel, she told people straight up, "This is this is real. I have an eating disorder. I don't always like to eat." She's she cooked, but she barely ate, which, at least from my perspective. And when when she did eat, she felt weird about it. Like, you could tell on her face. I wish she still had the footage and stuff out there. You know what I mean? Because that was the real her. Yeah, she would do a few takes on a dance or whatever, but other than that, that was 100% her life.
Yeah, and what ended up happening, all the bullying and the harassment after this episode aired, that she needed to take a mental health break from all social media and ended up deleting everything. And the thing of it is obviously I'm not sitting here and saying either that my sister didn't eat and got overweight and maybe food had contributed to that at some point. I'm not saying that. But none of you were there, not Kyle, not Keith. My mom and I were there when her first bout of her anorexia showed up. That she was afraid to swallow. She could not, even medicine, not just food. She was terrified to eat food and couldn't take medicine because she would feel like she couldn't swallow. And something that stayed with her was excessive belching. Was a part of her anxiety. Like, she had to do it all the time to make sure that she could swallow, because for so many years she was terrified that she couldn't swallow, like her throat was going to close.
For one thing, I get real disgusted with seeing how this show treats the people on it, in the regard of if they have such eating disorders, right? If they have such eating disorders as overeating, right? If that's really the case, why do they keep feeding them garbage food? Why do they only let them eat garbage food?
Or why are they not supporting them in that? Why aren't they encouraging them to go to
make a better choice?
Seek treatment, not even to make a better choice, to seek treatment for whatever's going on. My heart really stands with every cast member that's been on this show, whether they've had a success story or not. It's not for me to talk about their experiences. They are entitled to do that on their own time. But I can understand and relate to the problematic ones, because I'm sure they weren't that problematic.
Far as what I can remember about this time frame, I up until then had not watched much. I was only aware of it and was very wary of her being on the show to begin with. But because she was doing she was doing a lot on her own, which they never touched on. They never touched on her. They talked about your agoraphobia, Allie, but number one, they got the timing wrong completely, and which we've discussed in the last part. And as far as right now, they're not even touching on the fact that Gina had it, or what it means, or anything like that. Like, if somebody already has another health issue or a series of health issues, touch on it for those who are, for those who are curious about it, or those who may have it and not know how to go about it. Not know how to seek treatment or anything, because this is America. And one thing that we love to do, we keep saying that we're the greatest at this, we do this, we do that, but also we make fun of people. We make jokes shows like these, and they get high ratings. People out here believing in every freaking theory, every freaking conspiracy they can think of, just because in their mind it's gotta be this. It's gotta be this. There's no other rhyme or reason why this is happening, other than, oh, she's an overeater. Oh, yeah, I knew, I've known her. I knew her for a long time. Yeah, she had issues with eating, whether it be, stress eating or not eating at all. But none of that is talked about. Everybody thinks it's always got to be one thing. No, it's a series of things.
Yeah.
And this just makes me so upset. But here's one reason why I'm happy. She ain't got to go through this anymore. Okay? And we're taking that narrative back.
Yeah.
Yep.